champ is here.
We will definitely not shut up and dribble.
The champ is here. I must be the player. The champ is here.
I'm going to continue to stand with the people.
The champ is here.
I will not lose.
All right, man. I took up the wall.
Yes, welcome. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with we. My name is EJ, and I got my man.
Your mate.
Yes, he is the DB of the show. And we are Black in Sports, man. Giving a voice to the culture that won't shut up and dribble. Here, laughing at it all and talking about the things in and around the game. So without further ado, man, we have to bring in our guest. All right. So he's a Boilermaker by alumni, you know, but what's happening is he's another wide receiver that MH is going to have to cover on this episode. And I may drop back and try to help him as well. But we have a lot to cover, pun intended. So let's jump into it, man. We're talking about Olympic gold aspirations here on this show. So without further ado, please welcome Head of Player Personnel for USA Football, Charles Torwudzo. I messed that up.
You almost had it. What's going on, gentlemen? Hey, I'm happy
And please, to get the name correct, man, please pronounce it correct. It's
Torwudzo. Yep.
Torwudzo, man. Appreciate you, man. So, hey, how we like to start it, man, is we jump right into a shoot your shot moment, right? Like we like to give people a piece of, like, you know, what you've been through, you know, what's made you, right? So it could have been a shoot your shot where, you know, you scored, or you could have fumbled the ball. You know, either way, you learned a lesson or you learned something at a time. So share us a quick shoot your shot story, man. Could have been any time, could have been school, back in the days, or in your current role.
Man, that's a great way to start the show. I would say, first off, man, I appreciate y'all having me on. Miles, we go way back. EJ, it's a pleasure, man. It's always a pleasure to get on here and get on a great platform, have a great following, and talk some ball and talk what's relevant in sports. Man, as far as the shoot your shot moment, so I got a lot. I got a lot. I'm shooting my shot constantly, right? You can't make shots if you don't put up shots, right? So at Purdue, 2 bowl games, you know what I mean? We lost one, we won one. We had a bunch of different coaching changes. Football is everything to me, man. Football is life. I was fortunate enough to be able to, play professionally in the Arena League. Signed a contract with the Canadian Football League. Worked out for a handful of different NFL clubs and stuff like that, man. So I'm always shooting my shot. It's hard to choose one, bro. It really is. It's hard to choose one, but I'm fortunate to be in the position that I'm in with USA Football with the U.S. national team. We got a lot of big things on the horizon, as you mentioned already. 2028 is huge. In the Olympics, flag football, 5-on-5 non-contact. We'll have 10 folks on that roster. But yeah, man, just gearing up, getting prepared, and trusting the process through it all.
Let's go. We're definitely gonna get into that a little bit later. So, so shoot your shot, basically, man. You know, you just, especially playing in sports, man. So going for it all, you know, especially on the professional realm, it's always good, man. MH, what you got?
Yeah, Charles, we're again, man, appreciate you, bro. You know what it is. Where's your love for sports start?
Great question, man. So I was born in Waukesha, Wisconsin, right outside of Milwaukee. My first love was actually basketball. Like during that era, Ray Allen was on the Bucks, and he actually wore number 34, which is what the Greek Freak currently wears. So when they wear them purple uniforms, they got that 30, and obviously Giannis number 34, right? So whenever they wear that purple throwback, all I see is Ray Allen. But
Jesus,
man, hey, Jesus Shuttleworth. Shout out to Jesus Shuttleworth. But I think my love of sports really came from a young age. Obviously, you know, being from a big basketball town, I guess you could say. Like Glenn Robinson was out there at that time. Joe Prisbilla, Sam Cassell was on that team. We had George Karl as the head coach at the time. And me and my dad would go to the games all the time. We would go to the games all the time. And I just really appreciated the game from that standpoint. And it transitioned into football because our head coach at the time, hell of a recruiter, hats off to him. He said, and I still use this line to this day on folks, you're 6'5". How many 6'5" players are on the basketball court? A lot. How many 6'5" players are on a football field? Not quite as many, right? So that's kind of where it all transitioned. But my love of sports and my love of the game really definitely came from a young age and kind of the environment I grew up in for sure.
So you Bucks or Pacers then?
Poof.
Or
Can I be
either?
both? Can I was
Are
about to say,
you both?
can I be both? Like,
If you give us a good reason, you got to give us a good reason. You both, because I was going to say you went from like one basketball kind of town to actually growing up in another one, right? So,
true enough.
so yeah. So what's the story for you to be both? We'll let the court decide.
That's valid. That's valid. Okay, so the Milwaukee Bucks out again. That just comes from a young age. Whenever the Bucks come on the TV, I'm like, okay, I gotta watch. I gotta check this out. Obviously, they won an NBA title not too long ago. What was that? 2021, 2022, whatever it was within the last couple of years. Actually, it was last year, 2022. But then when it comes to the Pacers, like I live here. I literally live 10, 15 minutes of a walk to where they play at a game bridge. So, you know what I mean? Like it's tough not to want to see your home team, your current home team, you know, you play well and do well just for the culture, for the city. You want to see the city flourish. We got the All-Star game coming soon. They did a bunch of different renovations out there in front of the arena here recently, man. So, you know, I love to see the Pacers do well. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a Pacers fan. I don't follow Pacers basketball. Now, if I get some tickets here and there, I'm obviously going to pop in and check them out. And I love that atmosphere, man. So let the people decide. But I'm a little bit of both. I can't even lie to y'all, man.
No, that's definitely fair. So with basketball being your first love, like how long did you follow that trend, right? Did you push it in high school and still play the multiple sports? We know you did track as well. So we'll get to that. We're here. What were the events? Because no matter who we have on, if you have track in the background, we got to know the events.
Okay.
And then come back and then let us know like how long you did both. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So let's start with the event. So, you know, track was something as a lot of football players. I don't want to say most football players. A lot of football players run track just to stay in shape during the off season, right?
You can say most. You can say most. Ain't nobody choosing that by themselves.
Ain't nobody. Hey, especially when my football coach was the head track coach.
You feel me? Like 100%. So football. I mean, I said football. Track was really a conditioning sport, right? Who wants to go after school and run 10 200s?
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody is the answer. So I
especially
definitely ran
in the
track.
Midwest, right? So it was cold when track season first started, right? You had indoor.
Boy, you have no idea, bro. Like it was cold, and there was no, like you said, in high school there was no indoor. So events that I ran the 4x1, I ran the 200, I did long jump, I did a high jump. Man, back in the day, I was all state in long jump, and then I was like regional in our 4x1 team, and I was the anchor. So those are my track.
Man, you ain't no anchor, days, man. It's like, get the BS out of here. You ain't no damn anchor.
Hey, I will pull up the tape. After this, Miles, check your phone. I'm gonna send you the videos, bro.
I need footage. I need footage. High jump, I got you. I know it. Long jump, yeah, I got it. 4x1, no, I need to see that, dog. I need to see you. You must have been racing them Avon boys when they.
I was about to say, you know exactly where Brownsburg High School is. You know where Avon High School is. And frankly, bro, growing up, I was the only black kid at Brownsburg. I was literally one of the only black, you know what I mean, like athletes at Brownsburg. So, man, I really had an interesting upbringing.
My choice. They was like, hey man, when you enrolled, you was on the 4x1 anchor. Hey, yep, we got one. You the anchor.
No, bro, but literally, that's exactly how it went. You know how the HCC sports go.
Yeah, I do. I most definitely do. What was your long jump? Give me your long jump. Since that I want to hear that. What was the distance? Give me your best. Your PR there.
My best long jump, bro. I can't even lie. It was something like what, 16, something like that.
Okay.
17.
So you getting like out there? You a tall individual. Everybody doesn't know what you 6'5".
I'm 6'5".
Yeah. So you don't get too many steps to get into it like most like the 5'10" folks in the world, man. So I definitely get it.
So really quick,
go ahead.
So when was the division? When did you like step away and like football became the primary focus?
So great question. So junior year, man, like I think I had offers. So my first offer came from Indiana University, which I ended up going to Purdue, as y'all already mentioned. But IU offered me first. And it was going into my senior year. I was like, listen, coach, on the basketball side, mind you, we had Gordon Hayward, right? This dude named Julian Mavunga who plays overseas and still gets buckets overseas. So our basketball team was actually cold. We ended up winning state my junior year, but going into my senior year, I was like, man, let me just lock in. Let me try to focus on football specifically because that's what I'm about to get paid a scholarship. Like we didn't get paid NIL and all that.
Oh,
like
you can jump into that.
by the way,
yeah.
sidebar,
Yes.
we came up in the wrong era. We
That
absolutely
part.
all of us came up in the wrong era,
That
bro.
part.
Because
Correct.
dudes making multi-millions. Everybody at Utah got a truck, all type of stuff. But yeah, man, my junior year is kind of when I departed from the hardwood and just decided to focus on the gridiron, man. Honestly, I'm happy I did because here I am, and the Olympics was announced this week, so here we go.
Awesome. And then how did you determine position, right? Like how was that maturation going, right? Like, usually you come in like everybody wants to either be quarterback or, on the offensive side. There's some people that just want to say whatever. How did you get into, was it always wide receiver? Because that's what you played in college. So was it always wide receiver starting out the gate?
So for me personally, yes, I always wanted to be a receiver. I grew up looking at Terrell Owens. I grew up looking at Chad Johnson. I grew up looking at even Michael Irvin, man. Like he's a little bit older than that group of folks, but I like the guys that were flashy. You know what I mean? Like I like the guys that were on TV, and I like the guys that could get their names put in the newspaper. So I wanted to be a receiver out the jump. Before I moved to Indianapolis, though, I was like I think 2 to 3 pounds, and Pop Warner I was like 2 to 3 pounds over. So I ended up playing D line. I was a defensive end. I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed something about playing defense and like being able to roam and not have a specific route and responsibility. Like you just contained. Like something about that was enjoyable to me. But yeah, man, I've always loved receiver, and I think that it started at a young age. Watching those guys score touchdowns on TV and getting the crowd hyped up. I'm like, I want to be him. I want to be able to do what he's doing right now. Like when T.O. did the popcorn, I'm like, I want to be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
So what made Purdue the choice for you? Touched on a little bit, but what made that the choice for you out of high school?
So again, growing up in Indianapolis, Purdue's in West Lafayette. A lot of people don't know where Purdue's at because there's not like a location or a state associated with it, right? But it's in West Lafayette, Indiana, which is about an hour 45 northwest of the city of Indianapolis. Really, the football tradition was big for me. They beat IU. Like they literally just showed me the stats. They said, "Look, bucket game. We beat IU 20 times as many times as they beat us." They talk about Drew Brees, the value of the degree from Purdue University versus no disrespect, but no, in comparison to these other schools that had offered me at the time. And also it was a place that my folks could shoot up there and come check me out, right? Like, I think that's big. Obviously, in today's world, folks, I was talking to Jim Harbaugh at the time when he was at Stanford. That was an option too, but I'm like, I'm not going to go all the way to California. My people can't come and see me regularly like that. So
right.
all that stuff played very, very big into my decision. But and to be honest with you, to this day, when athletes that I work with ask me, okay, what matters? I'll give them the same stuff that I did when I was that age, man, because I still think that was a good decision that I made. Although, as we all have those regrets in our athletic career, I didn't see the field quite as much as I would have liked to at the time. But at the same time, man, like the relationships, the entire experience while I was at Purdue, man, I wouldn't trade that for nothing, bro.
Yeah, and we're going to get into your career in a second, but touching a little bit on it. You've seen, I guess, multiple generations or multiple layers of the recruiting process. Obviously, like your own personal experience with the recruiting process, and now, to your point, you dealing with athletes now that are going through that recruiting process. So, outside of some of the major things like NIL that we've already touched on, what do you say what's consistent from your days with the recruiting process, and like what's like totally different outside of obviously a Ford truck that everybody get?
Well, listen, I'll say this. The thing that's consistent is definitely that they're gonna tell you what you want to hear, right? And that's the cold-hearted truth. I don't want to give away anybody's recruiting tips, nothing like that. But when they come to your crib and they meet your folks and they shake your hand, they came to your neighborhood from wherever they flew in or drove in or whatever, they're gonna tell you what you want to hear. So, frankly, it's up to you as a player to prioritize what's important to you. And if you're gonna go to and again, transfer, man, listen, my advice is dang near expired because transfer portal is real. If Deion leaves Jackson State, guess what? His Louis luggage is jumping in the transfer portal. They going wherever he going.
Yeah.
Right. Back in our day, you know what I'm saying? I felt like an old head. But back in our day,
back in the day,
you know what I'm saying?
We had to walk uphill both ways. But
for real, that's how it feels. Like,
but you had to sit out that year if you wanted to make that, and that's a real big, that's a really big decision, man. And another thing, man, like I think you pointed out, and I'm big on proponent on the education part, was that, I did look at Purdue when I was kind of coming up, right? Like, because the engineering program, right? Like, these are top quality, like, educational programs. And one of the things that I did see that you, I think you got a little bit in business or sports management, not that kind of realm, but you got an entrepreneurial degree, man, or, or whatever the kind of classification is. What did you think about that? Because, that was something new when we were coming in, right? Like, not a lot of schools offered that, but now you see it more and more. How important was taking that class for you, or why did you take that class? And do you suggest others, especially now in the NIL days, take stuff like that?
100%, EJ. I'll say this, man. Like, the entrepreneurship class, looking back on it, was one of the most what's the word I'm looking for? It was one of the best courses that I really got to dive into while I was at the university because, once you graduate, all the math, depending on what industry you go into, a lot of that stuff doesn't necessarily correlate into the real world in so many different cases. So I was able to get an entrepreneurship certificate. And frankly, man, it was one of the best classes because it teaches you how to sell, how to put together a business plan, how to research market trends, how to do all these different things when you are considering starting your own business and that type of thing, man. So as far as entrepreneurship, I would absolutely encourage everybody to definitely tap into that because bottom line is, if you're able to kind of put on for yourself, it just puts you in a better position, point blank.
Man, I still haven't used the Pythagorean theorem, man, in my day-to-day.
There you go.
I feel you on that, man.
The Boilermaker Wish Foundation, man, I thought that was really cool doing some research about you, man. Talk to us about the start of that and how that process all went.
Man, that's a blast from the past. The Boilermaker Wish Foundation was something that we really poured a lot of our time and energy into when I was at Purdue. So what it was based off of the idea of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So I was watching ESPN one night, and you know how they always have the Make-A-Wish for terminally ill cancer, terminally ill
kids and youth and
individual people in general, right?
Yep.
And Disney does a phenomenal job of wrapping their arms around those folks, taking them to, whether it's a Yankees game, taking them to Disney, doing all these different type of things. And I'm like, this is beautiful. This is great. Like, they're giving back to their community. I'm like, we could probably do something similar to this on a much smaller scale. So we scaled it back. We started talking to our athletic director at the time, Morgan Burke, who has passed since, RIP. But he just said, listen, man, this is the kind of idea that we want to do. Y'all have heard, everybody knows what Make-A-Wish Foundation is. We want to do the same thing, but we want to do it on a campus scale, on a campus level. So we reached out to all the schools in the Tippecanoe County, which is the county that West Lafayette is in, and basically just gave out applications. Listen, you don't necessarily have to be terminally ill, but if you have students, who are facing any type of disability, we would love to get in contact with them. And frankly, if they want to come to a Purdue basketball game, women's or men's, swimming event, Purdue football game, baseball, whatever the case may be, we have all this stuff going on campus. Fill out an application, send it in to us, reach out to us, and then we'll get you all plugged in and locked in. So that's kind of how it all went. And it was actually one night at FCAA, Fellowship of Christian, or FCAA, just FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I linked up with one of our swimmers, one of our women's basketball players. I think there was a cheerleader that was involved at the time, and then one of our golfers as well. So we locked in, and we all kind of had similar interest in just giving back to the community, trying to do something bigger than ourselves. And then we got it jumping off. And honestly, it took off for a couple of years, but it's been a little bit quieter recently. We'll look to get that thing going here soon again.
And let's give you the flowers, man. You were a founder, man. You not only kind of just, worked it, man. It takes something to initiate something from the ground up, man. So kudos, flowers, and all that stuff to you. And then, sometimes if you have to, you do a little dance for it, huh? Or I couldn't find the video for the dance because we definitely gonna put that up. So
listen, hold on, man. Y'all must have been digging, cause bro. Like that was.
Charles love the kids, man. Charles love the kids, man. It was for the kids, man.
FTK for the kids.
All right, man. MH, we're gonna go ahead and jump into the career, man. And I'm just gonna start it off before we get into the career. You touched on it a little bit, man. Tell us about the playing days, and I think you touched on it more too when you're saying you shoot your shot moment, right? Like kind of going after it, chasing that dream, which we all have done. When you get to the collegiate level. And, you kind of make that decision like, how close am I? I at least got to give it a shot, man. And, just those tryouts, man. So just kind of take it through the wins and the success. Anything that's major that you want to share about that, right? Because I know, like, just the preparation is hard, right? And the mental things you got to do. And then, like you said, like, you went through adversity. Like, so, and I'm trying to shorten this just because we got so much we want to get into. But your senior year, you got hurt, right? So, you had a major injury going into college, right? And then going into college, just that transition of going from wide receiver to tight end, right? So all of those little things that build your character as you're going into the, shooting your shot for the league. So kind of take us through like what that progression was for you.
Man, EJ, you ain't lying, man. Y'all did great research. Y'all really hit on all the good stuff. So it was my junior year going to my senior year. I ended up breaking my ankle. I was outside blocking, and to all the receivers that are watching this, make sure that you continue to move your feet when you're on the perimeter blocking, because my feet were dead. I had him engaged. My feet were dead. The running back came up behind me, rolled up on me, snapped my ankle. I had to get a titanium plate and then 6 titanium screws in my ankle. They're still in there to this day. And obviously at the time I was devastated, right? As a kid, you're like, I was 16, 17 at the time. I was like, I didn't know what was going on. A lot of the schools I had been talking to, were no longer interested, et cetera. And honestly, that kind of played a role into why I decided on Purdue as well, because they stayed true. They stayed loyal. They said, listen, man, we understand that this happens, but let's get it. So there was that piece of adversity was tough, but through my career at Purdue, to your point, we had Coach Hope, and then Coach Hazel. My position coach at the time was Jared Parker, who is the current offensive coordinator for Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman is their head coach, who was our linebackers coach at Purdue at the time. And so I say that just to say coaching transitions happen, right? At that time, the transfer portal was not a thing. So you got to thug it out. You got to figure out where you fit, and you got to find out a way to contribute and get onto the field. So for me, and this is for me, special teams was that avenue for me. So I'm on kickoff. I'm on kickoff return. I'm on punt. I'm on punt return. As a receiver. And then we had a new coach. As I started to kind of get my bearings a little bit at the receiver position, boom, Coach Hope is gone. We got a new coach that comes in. He brings in his whole recruiting class. So now all of a sudden he wants to see his guys flourish and shine. We went 1-11. And I had to make sure to throw that in there. We went 1-11. But his guys were eating, et cetera. He wanted to make sure that his guys got on and everything. And I get it. So after that, I didn't really get the film that I wanted to get. Pro Day came. I think we had 16 of the 32 NFL clubs were in West Lafayette at Malakoff, which is the indoor facility at the time, where we had our Pro Day. So got to show out in front of a lot of coaches. Ended up getting an invite to go work out for the Colts. Ended up getting an invite to go work out for the St. Louis Rams at the time, which puts another date on me. Didn't sign anything. Didn't end up obviously didn't get contracts to either one or any NFL clubs. Then I ended up signing with a Canadian Football League team, the Ottawa Red Blacks. Was international receiver, as you all may or may not know, as folks who are watching may or may not know. So the rules for the CFL are a little bit different between the Waggles, and then also just the roster restrictions. You're only allowed to have a certain amount of Americans on the team.
Oh, that's right.
You have a certain amount of Canadians on the team. Yeah, because they want to make sure that it's a true Canadian football. They don't want it to be the NFL juniors, right? Because frankly, we probably could fill that entire league with all Americans. No disrespect to the Canadians, because they got some ballers out there too. But anyways, anyway, ended up getting waived from that team, and then went and played in the Arena Football League. Had a pretty good career in that league. Played in that league for a couple of years, and then I was the leading receiver for this Boston team. My final year in that league. Actually, funny, wild, crazy story, Miles. You probably don't even remember this, bro.
Let's get it.
I was flying back from Boston. Miles was, bro, you were in Boston. You were sitting in the Boston airport. I don't even remember what the Boston airport. I hadn't flown out of the airport in so dang long. But, you were in the airport, and I ended up going to work that next day, and I was like, hold on, man, I know I've seen this dude somewhere. Come to find out, we were both flying back from Boston to Indianapolis on the same day. Yeah, bro. So
damn. No, I didn't even. Your boy, get it. I got your
listen.
boy.
I don't expect you to remember that at all, bro.
That's wild.
It was crazy. So
it's funny, man, and this is, like I said, we'll get it more into your career, but in your career, there's different alternatives to playing in the NFL. I feel like when we were growing up, it was like, hey, man, go to college, Big Ten, SEC, like NFL. That's it, right? And you know a couple people that play in the CFL, but it was like those are the things. And now I feel like there's so many different more avenues to keep playing football, opposed to when we were kind of growing up. So I guess did your experience in arena football and going through those adversity, going to the CFL, all those type of things, like does that help you in your current role? Just seeing the alternatives that kind of keeps you into the sport?
Absolutely, 100%. So I would say, as a player, now me being head of player personnel, I have a very different perspective than majority of folks that have been in this role, right? Like a lot of people have never played the game at a high level or been able to be a player and understand you are replaceable, right? Like that was my biggest takeaway from playing professional sports in general is, listen, man, no matter how productive you may or may not be, there's somebody else that's coming right behind you that can do the same thing as you, or even for cheaper, right? So absolutely,
and younger,
100%.
And younger. Yeah.
Yep. Everybody's replaceable. I mean, even the president of the United States is replaceable, right? We're gonna have a new one. Like everybody's replaceable. Everybody's replaceable to some extent. So never think that you're above that. And I'm be honest with you, man. Like my time in the arena league specifically, I'm like, bro, I'm a Big Ten. I'm this, that. That don't matter, bro. Listen, they all have their specific agendas. And when you're playing in Des Moines, Iowa for the Barnstormers, and it's a home team, they want guys that played at Iowa. They want guys that played at Iowa State. They want guys that played at Drake. They want guys that are from there, that have a fan base that is from there.
To bring.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the people from West Lafayette,
marketing.
they're not coming. They're not coming to Des Moines from West Lafayette. Why would they do such a thing? So, but yeah, no, Miles.
Great point, man. That's a great point. So building on that, right? So we took that and then we rolled into, there's some other things, but the majority is where you rolled into your current role. And you've taken steps. Like it wasn't, you left football, playing football, and now you director of player personnel. You did do some steps, but with USA Football, how did you get into there? And then, take us on that journey.
That's a whole different, avenue and adventure, how it all kind of unfolded. So I was playing in Boston for the arena football team, the Boston Blades, but they're now the Mass Pirates currently. And I was like, you know what? I kind of I love the game. I kind of scratched my itch to play professional. I've kind of been burnt a couple of different times. I'm like, let me see what this career whole thing is talking about. Let me see what a career in sports would really have to offer, right? So my wife currently, girlfriend at the time, T, she sent me this thing. She goes, hey, look, USA Football, they're headquartered in Indianapolis. I had no idea what they were at the time. There's this position, and it was like a service experience type role or something like that. I was upstairs. I was like, bet. It says USA Football. Let me get my foot in the door, and we'll figure it out. That's kind of guy I am, right? I'm like, let me see. It looks like it kind of makes sense. So I started with USA Football now 6 years ago, and I was upstairs literally talking to coaches that had USA Football accounts and resetting their passwords, like humble beginnings, bro. Like I'm talking about, like I'm literally on the phone with these dudes that don't understand how a computer works. And that lasted for a couple months, and then they started to realize, oh, you played here, you did this in the game, you want to kind of understand this and that. Transitioning to the national team, was in kind of a coordinator role, and then they understood my background and that I played and everything else, and how I related to players and everything. So just continue to evolve, man, and continue to evolve to the role that it is today. And I really do like what I do. I'm fortunate, man. I truly am, and I enjoy what I do, so I can't complain.
Awesome.
I like that, man. Give a little piece of advice. I mean, we'll get to the gym later, but like the advice of knowing how to work the room, essentially, man. Like, I've been around you a little bit. You understand people. You know how to work the room, not in a bad way. It's just like how to be real with people, and you know how to navigate yourself in profession, and that's a skill in itself, to navigate yourself in a role in an organization and to where you are now. So what is this? I don't know. Like, how where did that come from? Like, is that just kind of you? Like, it's just on God? Like, talk about that a little bit, man.
Man, so I think as far as the ability to work the room, I think that just kind of comes with, honestly, from the game. Like we've all been in locker rooms to some extent, right? And the makeup of a locker room is a bunch of different folks.
Right.
So it's very eclectic. So it kind of forces you to have to be able to relate to different types of people. But also, having played for these different teams, it also different management. You got to understand how to interact with folks to try to better your hand to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, that's just life, right? Like you can't be too rigid and too standoff. Like, you got to be able to kind of play to where you're at, and that's kind of where that all came from, man.
For sure. And so the national team part, there was a big focus on tackle, probably earlier in your USA career, and now that's transitioned to obviously flag football. How has that process been for you?
That's been crazy, straight up. It's been crazy, but it's been a fun ride, because I'll say this out the gate about flag, right? Being a receiver, flag is faster. It's offensive. It's driven by offense. And as a player, especially a receiver, understand you're going to eat. You're going to get more touches, right? Like, think about it, in a tackle football game, as a receiver, if you get 3 or 4 targets, you're like, okay, it wasn't a bad day. Right? Like, in flag, especially 5-on-5, everybody's getting at least 3 to 5 targets a game. You know what I mean? So it's like, that part of it's exciting. It's fun. As far as the transition, man, it was definitely different, because someone like me, who comes from a traditionally tackle background, I was kind of hesitant at first, and I was like, wait a minute, like, this don't feel right. Like, I never really been into flag like that. But the more I dive into it, there are some people that are diehard about this game. There's some people that are extremely, extremely impressive with what they do specifically in the flag world. And it's been a fun transition. Like, like I said, I'll be the first to admit, I was very hesitant at first. Like, man, I don't know. Like, I'm used to helmets and shoulder pads and people banging and big rosters of 50 some odd athletes. But man, it's been a crazy transition, because as a governing body with USA Football, right, the biggest, like, at the top of the mountain technically, is the Olympics, and that's what we started to push towards. That's what we've been fortunate enough to be able to accomplish. But
so really quick, get into that for us, just because, like, I want to take a step back. Not everyone knows what USA Football is, right? So, like, talk about, like, what maybe USA Football is inside of what your day-to-day is, right? Like, what is not a typical day, right? Because no day is typical, especially in your world where you have to probably travel multiple places. But kind of take us a step back and say, you were kind of getting into that, understanding that it is a governing body, but kind of take a step back and give us, like, that, USA Football 101 for dummies, just so all of our audience, can kind of catch up. And me for example, right? Because, like, seeing that change, that it did go from tackle to, form of emphasis on flag, just take us back a little bit.
100%. So USA Football is the governing body of the sport. So every sport that is represented at the Olympic level has to have a governing body sport, has to be able to show progression through and development through to get to that Olympic level. USA basketball, for example, gymnastics, track and field, rugby, tennis, baseball, all these different sports all have governing bodies. We're that for the game of football. So it's it's interesting because, like I said earlier, I had no idea what USA football was prior to actually stepping in the doors and kind of looking around like, oh, this is what this all is. But it's been incredible because we've been able to push not all, but majority of our bandwidth towards the flag game, and continue to grow that whole side of it, and really plant our flag now as of Monday, with the whole Olympic announcement. So it's a bit of a learning experience, and to this day, I think that we're doing better marketing. We're doing better, getting out in front of NFL clubs and stuff like that for sure. And they help push what we got going on for sure. But what I'll say is, it didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen overnight. And frankly, we still have a lot more work to do because there's still a lot of people that don't even know what USA football is. Especially with this Olympic announcement, a lot of people are like, okay, what? How are we going to field these teams? How are we going to do? Not knowing the type of work that we have been putting in to continue to build these 5-on-5 teams and continue to win all these goals that we've continued to win on our men's and our women's side. So there's a lot to it, man. There's a lot of layers to USA football, a lot of layers to where we're at now. But just know there's a lot of work also that kind of has gone into it as well.
Speak a little to on USA football. We talked a little about the athlete side, but I mean, what I really like about USA football too is the education that it provides parents and coaches.
Yes.
It takes a village. So touch a little bit on what the education piece on that and how that is developing the game, holistically.
100%, Miles. And obviously, man, because that's where we initially met was at USA football. But for the folks that don't know, we're continuing to push health and safety, obviously. We're continuing to get all types of coaches certified because think about it. As a father, Miles, you're a father. EJ, you have kids, EJ?
I do not that I know of. No.
Hey, come on, man. Hey, chill.
Let's
chill.
All jokes, people. All jokes. But no, go ahead, but my bad.
No, you're good. You're good. I asked the question, so that's a valid answer. But as fathers, right, like we're not going to just hand over our kids, and frankly, you shouldn't just hand over your kids to somebody who you don't know if they're really a real coach. Now, at USA football, getting these coaches certified, it allows, parents a little bit more comfort. Okay, so-and-so, he took the heads up training or whatever the case may be. He took the USA football certification, and he knows what he's doing. Like he didn't just step out there because don't get it twisted. Like we've all seen the Oklahoma drills that they have they're 6 and 7 year old kids that they got banging. It's just like, man, what are we doing? Right. So like, let's make sure that we're certified, at the very least, knowledgeable about the game that we're about to be passing off our kids to these coaches. Right. So USA football does an incredible job from that standpoint of making sure we have great educational resources, great courses that we put out and great certifications that allow folks to understand, okay, they took time. They're serious about this coaching thing. They're not just some random schmandom who, had aspirations to play one day and has kids doing all type of crazy stuff. So.
Super facts, man. Oklahoma drill been making basketball players since the
80s. They're making basketball players. Exactly. It's like, what are we doing? Man, nobody wants to do that.
Nobody wants to do that stuff, man. All right, MH, man, you ready with those quick hits?
I am. So, Charles, just a couple of 3 kind of random questions. Have the listeners know who you are a little better. So, if you had a meal the rest of your life, what would that be?
If I had a meal or a meal?
One meal. Like yeah. Not a meal. I don't think you can get too far with a meal the rest of your life.
Hey, I can ration that joint out. No.
So I make it work.
I make it work.
Make it work.
Listen, I'm a survivor over here. No. If I had a meal the rest of my life, what would it be? Honestly, my mom's lasagna.
I like it.
Like my mom. Okay. Hey, shout out to mom, man. Like Sheila Torwudzo, I love you. But no, man, for real. Like my mom's lasagna, it's the biggest comfort food I've ever had in my life. So that's my mom's lasagna for sure.
All right, on the Boilermaker thing, top 5 Boilermakers: basketball, football, whatever athlete Boilermakers.
Basketball and football, we getting crazy. Okay.
Yeah. Ain't that many, dog.
You're right. Hey, hold on, bro. Hey, put some respect on my
name. Hey, Chuck, remember we talked about pre-show? Remember?
That's all love. He know that's love. That's love.
Okay, well, number
so
1.
5, any sport.
Do they have to be athletes or can they just be Like
it could be. I say
figure.
athletes. We sports. Let's say athletes.
Yeah, not intramural.
No. I was about to say my number one was about to be Lance Armstrong because he was the first man. He was the first man on the moon. Like, how can he not make the 5? Even though he's not an athlete, he has to be somewhere. Honorable mention, right?
I mean, he was somewhere in Utah. We could talk about moon stuff. So yeah. Throw him on there.
Conspiracy.
That's
Okay,
one. Yeah, conspiracy. Yep.
John Wooden, of course. John Wooden got the pyramid of success. We praise John Wooden. John Wooden's one of the best ever. Drew Brees, of course, he's the man. I would say that's 3. 4, being from Milwaukee, watching basketball, Big Dog Glenn Robinson is number 4. I would say, oof, man, we got a lot of really good players. I would say Bob Greasy, but I'm gonna go just because it's relevant right now, and he's absolutely killing everything, and he's the leading. He has more. No one has more touchdowns than this dude through 6 games. My boy Raheem Mostert, for the Miami Dolphins, man, he's eating right now. So shout out to Raheem.
I didn't know he went to Purdue. Okay,
that's my guy, man. We literally sat right next to each other. That's my dog, man, Raheem.
Yeah, that man's won me a lot of money on Madden. Don't say that. One insult that you may have received that you actually like proud of.
Ooh. Oh, that's dang. Okay, that's like a backhanded compliment.
Yeah. That you like proud of, like
that I'm proud of.
Yeah.
Hold on. Give me an example, Miles.
So people always talk about my hairline. That's a backhanded compliment, right? But they like, man, your beard kind of cool type thing. And I'm like, yeah, all right, bet. I like my beard. That's cool. I'm good with it.
Okay, that's valid.
Thank you.
That's valid. I would say a backhanded compliment. So people have said to me like, man, you too pretty or something like that. Like, I care too much about my appearance or something. I'm like, I don't see that necessarily a bad thing, right? Like, or you know what it was? They used to it was the term metrosexual, which was like a straight man.
Yeah. Wear lotion.
Who wasn't ashy. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm my bad. I wasn't ashy. So I said that's probably what I'll go with.
That's a good one. All right. Since you travel around the country doing football, man, this is a big debate everywhere. Who has the best brand of football? Is it Texas? Are you gonna make some people mad? Is it Florida? Is it California? Is it Pennsylvania? Like everybody got is it Georgia?
Hold on, man. Can I turn this question on both of y'all and ask y'all that question first? Like, can y'all pop this off for me and lead the way?
Go ahead, EJ. I got my answer quick.
Because I know y'all got opinions. So I want to hear what y'all got to say too.
I mean, Florida will be for me.
That's valid.
Yeah, I mean, that's cute. I think honestly, from my experience, I think Texas has the best football.
Ooh, okay. I mean, listen, I hear both of y'all and I feel both of you. I truly do. I really do. But, and again, this is super duper biased, and I'm sure I'm going to get all type of hate for this. But like, I like what the Midwest got to offer. And hear me out, because right, like in Florida, it's always sunny, it's always warm. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what temperature you're gonna.
We get hurricanes and tornadoes and shit like that. Come on, man. We got
you're right. I mean, technically, but you don't get all 4 seasons. In the Midwest, you get summer, you get spring, you get winter, you get fall, and you kind of got to deal with that, right? And in football season, it could be any of the 4. So I would say Midwest, man. And again, obviously I'm biased. I'm from here, but I'm going Midwest. Lock it in.
There it is.
Jersey slept on too, by the way.
Jersey, yes.
That's a slept on place.
That's probably my honorable mention is the DMV area, because they got some tough, man. They got some tough folks out there too.
I mean, that's where you go back to the argument, right? You're talking Big Ten versus SEC, right? So that's kind of where you're getting, the bulk of, where football powerhouse is, even though the Pac-12 is the last of the Pac-12 is putting on much of a fight this year, but it's a wrap for them. All right. That's it, right, MH? let's get into the winner's circle, man. Like we gotta go the horns, we gotta.
Oh, we got horns. Let's go.
Clap. We gotta get it all, man. So congratulations, man. So in the winner's circle, this platform is, for what USA football was originally developed for, which is an amazing concept that you kind of brought home for me, is to get your sport in the Olympics. And then once it's in the Olympics, to grow it and produce a top quality, team or organization that supports all of that funnels through, through that sport. So recently announced, you guys are officially an Olympic sport, man. Congratulations. That's to the testament to you and all of your coworkers and everybody that before, so even MH that put his time in there. So all of those people,
put some tents up. But just put some tents up. That's all we did.
Hey, no role is too small, family. No role is too small, right?
Real rap.
So congratulations on that announcement, man, because that's a milestone. And I think just kind of, taking it back, man, did you guys know it was coming this year? Because I know, and MH helped me with this. Vince with the NFL was like really kind of talking about that, alleging that. I think even we did a show about him talking about it. We brought it up in one of our live shows. Did you guys know it was finally going to happen?
Short answer is yes.
Okay.
So the reason that we knew it was going to happen is because, so every single year that there's an Olympic there's a host of the Olympics, right? This 2024 is going to be in Paris in the summer. 2028 is going to be in Los Angeles. Every single place that is hosting has the opportunity to basically look at a handful of different sports that they can bring in to that fold, right? So
that's how breakdancing got in there and skateboarding. Okay.
That is exactly it. That's exactly it. So we knew that the vote was going to happen. We've been kind of counting down and kind of looking forward to it. And frankly, we've been building towards this in a lot of different ways, just to make sure that we locked it in. So yes, we knew it was happening. Again, we didn't know how the vote was necessarily going to go, obviously, right? Because we're not necessarily in those rooms casting our ballots. Obviously, what we would have voted for, but it worked out for us, man. We're excited. It's time for everybody in the flag community and football community in general to get excited about it, man, because this is huge.
Let's go.
This is not something that happened overnight by any means. And frankly, it's really just the tip of the iceberg, right? Like 2028 is 4 years, 5 years, 2 months. We're almost in 2024. So really 4 years away. And, we have a lot of work to do in preparation for that. Prime example, man, we have in 2024, this coming year, we have world championships that are going to be taking place in Finland. And then in 2025, the World Games that took place in Birmingham, Alabama in 2022, that same event in 2025 is going to be in China. In 2026, there's going to be another World Championship, TBD on where that's going to be. So it's like we have a lot of things that are going into it prior to 2028. But yeah, no, we knew what it was, and we kind of been working towards that.
That's what's up.
Talk about football in other countries. I mean, we think of football as just kind of a USA sport, but obviously if it's in the Olympics, somebody else is playing it too. So
great
touch on that.
Absolutely, Miles. You are absolutely right, man. So it was the stats and the numbers are there's 20 million people globally that are playing flag football in over 100 different countries worldwide. In Japan alone, I learned this today. But in Japan, the curriculum, like flag football, is a part of their curriculum growing up.
Watch out!
I'm telling you, man. Listen,
shout out to the motherland, baby.
That's where he's born.
That's where I'm born.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Shout out to the motherland.
Oh shit! Here we go.
Konnichiwa, boy.
Konnichiwa. Hey, listen, and they're nice. They're nice. Japan. They're solid. They swept silvers. We won all the gold in our junior national cup, but they were literally right there. They beat out Mexico. They beat out Canada, etc. There's these other countries that are really going in. Obviously, I don't know how familiar y'all are or how much y'all have been following the flag movement, but Diana Flores, she's from Mexico. Everybody knows that face. Like that's becoming a household name to some extent.
Of course, she got a damn Super Bowl commercial, man. Like
they put her jersey in the Hall of Fame in Canton, right? So
yes.
it's like they do this game globally, and not just flag. They do it in tackle as well. In 2024, we have our U20 opportunity that's coming up for the Junior World Championships too. So, yeah, man, it's it's growing globally. It's massive. It's already massive. And like I said, there's over 20 million people that play in over 100 countries worldwide.
That's dope, man. True or false? Did flag football start in the 1940s on the U.S. military base?
Is this a trick question? Do you have the answer to this? Or are you asking me for the answer?
I looked up Google, but you can't that Google commercial, man. So like you got to report
Right.
back, but that's because we do a little bit of research here, Black and sports here. But like was looking just like from the origin of it, right? Like how did this kind of sport get so popular from taking it from that? And I think one of the big things I want to talk about is as you talk about the evolution of the game, I heard you mention 5-on-5, right? And then traditional, when you talk about how most leagues are started or do, right? Like they're 7-on-7, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's that difference, and why do you have those two different kind of subsets for the league or the rules that that you decide to play by?
That's a great question. So as far as, first off, I don't know the answer of the origin, to be honest. And frankly, I probably should. That's actually, I'm going to look that up after we get off of this. Let me ask you, EJ, before I get into the answers. Is that true or false? Do you know if that's true or false?
That's I dug, and those are the kind of CNN reported that. So I feel like CNN is a credible source.
That's valid. Okay.
not to some former presidents. That might have been that might have been fake news.
Hey, that may have been. But I thought I need to go see the date of that, because if it was in the fake news era, that's why I'm asking true or false.
He might have said fake news.
Could have been fake news, but no, that's just kind of where they talk about in the recreation, and of course they, like in the story, they Americanized the hell out of it, right? Like our Patriots and whatever. So that's why I added a little true or false. But no, it's just more kind of like to put a ground of like how long the game's potentially been around in some form or fashion, and then why the different rules, like I said, from the 5 to the 7.
Okay, no, for sure. That's good. Like I said, I'm gonna look it up now, and I'm curious. I'm gonna hit y'all back and see what we got to say about that. But as far as the different rules, I know USA Football, we have what's called our FDM, which is our football development model, and that provides different points of entry for everyone. So we're in Indianapolis. It's not rural by any means. We have a good population of folks here. So frankly, you could go 7-on-7. There's some places that are out North Dakota, South Dakota, wherever, they have a lot less folks. If you want to play 5s, if you want to play, there's people that play 4-on-4 non-contact as well, right? It kind of depends on how many folks are interested in the game where you're at. So I think that largely plays into kind of the idea of the different subsets. But again, I'll go to tournaments. Like y'all already know, but the folks that are watching, I literally travel the country, go to all these different tournaments, and they have formats that are 4-on-4 non-contact, 4-on-4 contact, 4-on-4 co-ed, 5-on-5, all the way up to 11s. So there's opportunity and there's options for everybody. And then the field sizes are a little bit different at time. Sorry, I got a weird text. The field sizes are different at times depending on what the actual the number of athletes are and stuff like that.
Right.
But really it's about the different entry points and trying to make sure that we can cater to everybody who's interested in the game.
I love that part, man, because so many times you could, like in baseball, there's always progressions to, I guess, getting to, what we see a traditional baseball where a human is pitching to another human. There's, coach pitch, there's machine pitch, and It hasn't always been that clear for football, but you guys have done a great job of kind of building the model of the progression, the entry points for athletes.
100%. And then to be honest with you, Miles, as you know, that's really one of our biggest initiatives, is making sure that we cater to the people who are interested in our game, right? Like we have, underserved communities, we have affluent communities and everything in between. And we want to make sure that we're able to offer a game style and a game type for all the above and everything in between. So.
And then, and speaking of, like you saying, cater the game, it seems just kind of like that women have been a really big proponent of really pushing the game forward, right? Like just like women do in most of our lives, right? Shout out to Mom's Lasagna, right? But it just seems like women for this, especially for the flag, conversion to the flag, have been really big on pushing this sport forward.
100%.
Absolutely, 100%. And to that point, I think Just I gotta say hats off to all the women in the game and that have really embraced this game because this has been a male dominated space for a very, very long time, and we're in a different era now where the women are drawing these extremely big, crazy crowds. Like prime example at our most recent event, when we were at University of North Carolina, Charlotte. We had our IFAF Continentals, and our women's team. I mean, they packed out. It was a completely sold out, standing room only, essentially, for that Mexico versus USA game. Which hats off to our women's team because they battled, and hats off to that Mexican team, Diana Flores and all those girls because they did a hell of a job too. They played a hell of a game, but they continue to push this game forward. They continue to do things that people don't necessarily think of when they think about the game of football. So, I mean, I can't praise the women of this sport anymore because they continue to raise the bar year after year.
Awesome.
The talent pool. I mean, I know me like 10 other people probably was hundreds of other people when they said that football's in the Olympics. I know I'd put my cleats on back on. Let me see if I can still backpedal out there.
Oh, yeah.
Gold medal. So I know you guys are forming those things and building it, and like you said, there's a lot of work to be done. But how big do you think the talent pool is, both on the women and men's side, that you guys are going to be working with here?
And can I add another piece to that kind of question is how is that balance going to happen with the NFL? Because it's looking like the NFL is not only pushing, but promoting players to be involved with this. So how are you like with that talent pool finding that balance?
So let's start with Miles' question. So as far as the size of the pool, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's probably grown times 100 since Monday, right? Like people are coming out of the woodwork that have never even considered or thought about the game of flag.
Right.
Right. Look at you. Look at Miles.
Yeah, look. Look, I still got it. Yeah.
Ready.
But to that point, man, like contrary to that, there's folks that have been in this space for decades, for a very, very long time. And frankly, IFAF as a whole, they've been hosting events for a very, very long time too. So flag football is nothing that's new. But that being said, with this new announcement, there are obviously going to be new folks that are interested in getting into the fold. So the pool itself has grown astronomically, but fortunately, obviously USA Football, our national team, et cetera, we have so many different people that are all working through this and making sure that this all makes sense as we continue to move forward and work through it. So we're excited, man. We're excited because no different than how there's folks here in the States who are now showing more interest in the game. Same thing's going on overseas. The announcement wasn't just for us. The announcement was for the entire world. So, the pool has definitely grown tremendously.
So you think I can make the Japanese national team then? Is what you kind of saying? If I can't cut it here, I don't know if I can cut it here, but maybe I can see if I can come off the bench or something.
Hey, I can't speak for the Japanese team. But all I know is, Miles, if I see you out there in the red and white against our national team, we may have to start targeting you, bro.
Yeah. Oh!
We coming for you. No.
Man, my hamstring just got tight when you said that.
EJ, what was your follow-up question to that?
Yeah, so kind of like what's the balance of it, right? With the, are we going to have the NFL dream team, right? Or, to go out there because finding that balance for, the people that have built the sport and played in the sport, just to have NFL people come in, like if Tyreek Hill wants to come in, like I'm pretty sure he's going to get a roster spot. If, so what's that kind of procedure that you guys are going to walk through? Or it may be too early in the game, but just like I just wanted to bring that up because the NFL is behind you guys, supporting you guys, and really pushing the players to be involved in it.
That's a good point, EJ. So I'll say this: it's very early, right? It's very early for us to and it's too soon, frankly, for us to be making those decisions because obviously, like I said, we have Finland, then we have China in 25, and then we have a lot of things transpiring between now and between then. But as far as like the makeup of the team, man, bottom line is this: the best players are going to be the ones that are going to be playing on that team.
Guess what the personnel man said?
It's KYP. No, KYP. Know your personnel, right? Know your personnel. But bottom line is we're going to give everybody equal opportunity to really go out there and compete. And I mean, that's kind of all I can really say about it, right? Because I can't make any predictions to 2028 and what that's going to look like or anything like that. Because frankly, to be honest with you, between the CBA and the NFLPA and the timing of the Olympics and OTAs, and there is a lot of different layers that we still got to completely work through. And as exciting as it is for people to pull up their fantasy lineup and be like, look at this, this is going to be the like. We have a lot of other things and a lot of other layers that we got to work through before we even start to consider and talk about that type of stuff. But obviously, the NFL has been an incredible partner and through all this. They've helped us tremendously between the Pro Bowl going to a flag style.
Definitely one thing I was going to bring up.
Right. The Pro Bowl going to flag is incredible. Shoot, our women's quarterback, Vanita, was the offensive coordinator, right? Like we talked about plays leading up into that. She was working with Eli and everything else.
Tom Brady of flag football.
Right, 100%. She's the GOAT.
She's the GOAT.
But yeah, man, it's a lot still has to transpire. Before we talk about what the make of the team looks like for sure.
And really sticking with the NFL. So like also, are there how many flag is now a kind of like a lettered sport in some colleges, right? Is that was a push that you guys, got behind and things like that, right? So is it to where they're offering scholarship or is it just it is that's good stuff. And how long have you guys been doing that or that program's been around?
So for us, we don't necessarily offer the flag football scholarships. There's obviously grants and opportunities, stuff like that, when you get involved with the national team program within USA Football. But there's countless NAIA schools that do have full scholarship programs. Our women's assistant coach, Liz Sowers, and she works at Ottawa. She's the head coach at Ottawa. Her and her sister Katie, and they've won back NAIA championships. Kaiser, another school that's definitely on the rise. One of our women players, Amber Clark, she coaches at I don't want to mess this up. I want to say St. Mary's. Thomas is another incredible program that produces a lot of great women flag football players. There's a ton, and kind of to touch on the points earlier in regards to the women of this game. Man, I'm telling you, the sky's the limit. There's talks of all types of stuff nowadays, especially in that college space. So, yeah.
So how do we get involved, or how do I know it's USA, so it's covering all the things. And I also look like, Nike and Under Armour all have kind of camps. I'm pretty sure there's all other kind of camps that are really pushing the initiative of getting people to go out and play, learn about that. How is that happening from your perspective, as far as camps or, just way people can start leagues if they're not leagues in their area?
100%. I mean, the best way to go, this is kind of a shameless plug, literally go to usafootball.com, and we literally have all the resources that you could possibly need in regards to getting a league started, becoming a sanctioned partner with us. We have different scouting opportunities, different sanctioned tournaments. We have what we call our digital combine that's getting ready to go live October 23rd to December 4th. I want to make sure to put those dates out here. October 23rd to December 4th for anybody who is interested in getting their name into our pool of national team athletes, the pool that we actually look at, invite to trials. Make sure that you get on game time. It's GMTM. But also just follow our national team page and USA Football pages because we'll have all the information there too.
Love it. Broad question, man, and you've seen it from Oklahoma drill to now football's being in the Olympics. I know the sky's the limit, and we all don't know, but there's the evolution of football. I think within the last, let's say, 10 years has just been like crazy to me. So, from your perspective, sitting on the national team side, is just what do you think? What do you think is going to happen next? Obviously, the Olympics, but what do you think? Where is football going for you, in your opinion?
Man, I'm gonna be honest. Like with this announcement Monday, I haven't been this excited about the game in a very long time. Like the Olympics, I think I saw a stat somewhere, and don't quote me on this, but it said something like 155 million people tuned into the Super Bowl, which is ridiculous. Somewhere it said for the Olympics, it's like 2.8 billion people or something like that. So the Olympic stage is just it's the pinnacle of all sports. It's the pinnacle of all sports. So with that announcement, man, it's hard to think what's next. Like football on the moon. I saw.
That's AKA Utah to Miles. Miles
To
don't believe
Utah.
people in the
Yeah.
Listen, there's a meme. It was the commissioner. It was Goodell, and it was like Jeff Bezos talking, and the caption said, "Football in space," and I'm like, who knows, man? Like anything is possible. Anything is possible. I don't know though, for real. Like with the announcement on Monday, we're all kind of just gearing up for what 2028 has to offer. Frankly, we're really gearing up for 2024 in Finland. But yeah, man, it's been incredible. I don't know what's next, but I'm looking forward to it. That's for damn sure.
Totally off subject, and now again, this is like perspective. It's not even on the national team front, but you've seen players, I guess, in the last 6 years that we see now in the NFL, and obviously that we're seeing in college right now, doing at a high level. The changes with Big Ten and SEC and Pac-12 shutting down. From your perspective, I know there's a lot of players that's kind of moving all over the place, like that. You think college football's in a really good spot?
Yes and no. I think me being a traditionalist, I say that just because I come from the Big Ten. There was no transfer portal, there was no NIL. I love the idea of having a Power Five because it kind of spreads out the talent throughout the country, and it kind of keeps that true traditional, college football energy, college football vibe. Like it's the Midwest, it's the Southeastern Conference, it's the ACC, it's the Pac-12 up in the Pacific Northwest. That's me. But that being said, I'm always somebody who's going to be an agent for change. I always want to see things continue to evolve because without evolution, we would all be stuck in whatever. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm always one to see things continue to go to the next level. And frankly, I love that. I love the fact that folks or athletes are getting paid. Like, bottom line is there's these millions and millions of dollars are exchanging hands behind college sports, and frankly, the folks that are on the field are the ones that are generating that money, so they need to get a piece of it. So I think that part definitely makes sense. I think that from that standpoint, we're definitely in a better place. I saw something crazy the other day about Brock Purdy and how he's making what he's making versus what Shador's making in Colorado, and Shador's making. He said, right, he got a $70,000 Cartier watch and everything else. You know what I mean? So
driver and
all type of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so man, we're wrapping it up, man. This has been amazing. So this is what we like to call the assist, right? So, or we can call it the coaching gyms, right? So this is where you get to put your coach hat on. All right. Kind of share either like your life philosophy or just kind of words that you live by, or maybe something that you would tell your younger self. Just give us something quick.
Run your own race. Run your own race. You know what I mean? Like life is filled with people comparing what they got versus who else other people got. Whether it be in your career, whether it be in your family, financially, spiritually, physically, whatever. You don't need to be concerned with what other folks got going on. You need to focus in on what you got going on. Run your own race. Everybody got their own issues in their life, own demons, own whatever that they're battling, and the grass is always going to be greener on the other side. So don't be concerned with what other people got going on. Don't think that you're this or you're that versus someone else who's this and who's that. Just focus on you, stay in your lane, and run your own race.
Man, blessings and beautiful. MH, give us the final thoughts, man.
Man, I love that. I mean, I've quoted my dad on here a million times, but he always said, "Keep your nose clean." Everybody turns 35 at the same time. I mean, dog, hey, you got to take care of your family just like I got to take care of our family. Where I make $2 or you make $2 billion, it doesn't matter. We got to take care of our family. So, man, I love that. Run your own race, man. But Charles, man, I appreciate it. Long time overdue for this, man. Thank you for spending some time with us, man. This is at the perfect moment, man. I'm excited for what's going on in your career. And shout out to you, man. I want to give you flowers, man. I mentioned it earlier a little bit, but I really, truly, on this platform, want to give you your flowers, man. You have made a progression in your career, transitioning from on the field professionally to in the boardroom to now you Mr. Olympics, man. It is as somebody, no, truly, for real, as somebody that knows you and as another black man in this sports industry, man, I'm for real proud of you, man, and excited for what's going on in the future, man. And I can't wait to be a fan of y'all and support anywhere that I can, man. But congratulations, man. Real big stuff you're doing, bro.
Hey, all love, Miles, man. I appreciate y'all having me on. Again, I know what it takes to build a platform. Like I say, I don't technically know what it takes, but I see what y'all are doing, and I see the progression, and I'm following, and I love it, and I appreciate y'all for having me on, man. For real, this has been a great night.
Absolutely, man. Charles, thank you again so much, man. Emulate or repeat, ditto everything that MA says. It's a blessing and a pleasure for you to give us time, man. So only continued success. We are here still as a platform, to share whatever messages we can. So, we can have you on, as you build, from the several years from now. I look forward to posting that camp. So any kind of collateral you can give us, I want to repeat those dates. I think you said October 23rd through December 4th. So kind of get us all of that messaging. We'll put it in the show notes, and we'll also post it on our platform, because that's what we're here to do, is kind of build and share the platform and share the message. So thank you again for being on the show. Thank you, the people, for listening. I hope you had as much fun as we did, and we always do on the show. It's here to bring you, like I said, those leaders and those, executives in the boardroom that's doing things and on the field. So please know we drop a new show every Thursday. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you can see what's going on, because if you can see it, you can be it, right? Visual representation matters. And know we're on every podcast audio network. So if you're traveling in your car and you want to turn us on, we're there as well. All right. So please, as we always say, stay safe, practice gratitude, and know we're rooting for you.
Screaming, all us blacks got is sports and entertainment until we even.
Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yeah. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Look. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Spent about 2 racks on handmade new rags. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. That's everybody from sports to college class to rap and back.